I don't know. So,
Yep. Life. Someone says to me today, well, it's said a lot, lifes, right? Life lifes us, right? And it takes great courage. It takes great discipline to be who life's life. And it takes conversations like this. And it takes falling off the wagon to realize. Sometimes we have to, as was shared last night, we have to kind of like drift away to realize the extent of the impact of the drift. We can feel it in our body. We can feel it in our, like, the frustrations that show up. We're like, no, this is not like my true aligned path. So that's really exciting, Jess. And I'm very excited to share with you today. I'm just going to really, really ground in today with you guys, because this is probably the biggest, most important conversation. This is the tangibles today. And is there anyone else that would like to share before we kick off? Are you ready to kick off? Shall we just kick off? Let's just kick off. Yeah. Akara, did you want to share? I saw a little bit of a note. You're good. Okay. So for those of you catching the replay, welcome back. Thank you for jumping on. For those of you that are live, thank you. It actually brings me so much joy, right? Because I have my daily manifestations and my daily magical script and my daily energy template that I send out into the universe. And this is exactly what I'm here for. This is exactly the conversation that I'm here to have. And so I'm going to start this by really painting a picture. In 1903, the Wright brothers, they created the plane. Who's ever heard of the Wright brothers? Yeah. They created flight in 1903. So before 1903, there was at least 1900 years, 19,000 years. See my math? I don't math very well, but if you can imagine, 1900 years, yes, at least, right? That's just BC, AC, after Christ, right? So there's many, many, many more years, but at least 1900, where all we thought we could only walk and only be on the earth. Lots of years. That's all we need to know as light leaders. Lots and lots of years. So imagine that only at the beginning of 1900 is when, up until then, we thought our destiny was on the ground. We had created vehicles, we created cars, we created speed on Earth, we innovated our planet, but the idea of being in the sky, can you imagine the collective fear around that? Can you imagine the like stigma? Even it wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even a thought. Right. And so when the Wright brothers came on board, and then they received the vision and they received the passion and they received the pull, can you imagine how alienated they would have been to the people that knew them? They're like, what? Oh, imagine their mother, and the friendships in their life, and their mother's friends in the 1900s are going, they're gossiping between one another, saying how crazy her sons have gotten, because they're talking about flight. They're talking about being in the sky. They're talking about taking other people in the sky. Can you imagine the gossip? Can you imagine how many people would have just been like, they're idiots, they're crazy, right? Because also imagine these boys growing up. They clearly were not the average Joes. They clearly were the ones that had big imaginations. They clearly the ones that questioned the status quo in the 1900s. They clearly, right? Because it's making sense. They clearly asked bigger questions that didn't exist. They clearly believed in magic. Now, between now and the beginning of the 1900s, it has only been not that many years. Yeah. Let's avoid the math. It really hasn't been that many years. And so how is it when flight exists, while the innovation on planet Earth has expanded and evolved so rapidly, how one singular device that, let's say, not that long ago, about 20 years ago, if that, thank you, Deanna, for the math, because I love people who can math. The Imagine this object right now. Imagine this object, because this is just an object, right? You can see it. Imagine 20 years ago someone saying to you that in 20 years that you're going to be able to look at an object just like this and be able to speak to someone on the other side of the planet. Imagine what people would have thought. Well, imagine what people did think. Even my father was a great example. He rejected technology because it was scary. It was like, what? That's bullshit. Like, what do you think? You're crazy? How are you going to do that? How are you going to, how am I going to speak to my friend on the other side of the planet through an object like that? Can you imagine the people, the gossip? Can you imagine the naysayers? Can you imagine how many people just didn't believe that was to be true? Why? Because it challenged the status quo. Yeah. So this is in reality, this is what this conversation is really weaved with today. There are so many lies and so many myths that exist that are keeping us in the status quo as light leaders, and we're believing them. That's a problem. That's a real problem. We're not actually relating to the fact that we perhaps are of the same kind of lineage, the same kind of question asking as the Wright brothers, as those who have innovated the way that we advance, right? Because we're from our backgrounds, and because our backgrounds are our backgrounds, then we're not that magical, because we haven't always been a little bit odd. We ask different questions, and we have been castrated for that in some way, shape, or form by the people that's meant to love us the most. Let's be real. Yeah. Our families don't get it. We didn't raise you to ask these kind of questions. Just put a mask on, God damn it. Who do you think you are? Put a mask on when you go out. Get the jab. Just do it because that's what is right. That's what they're saying on the news. You have to do it. Who do you think you are? My mother even said that to me. Do you think you're the fucking queen or something? Because I refuse to wear a mask. I said, Mum, no, I just don't want to wear a mask. Yeah, like, and that's okay, because uh I am wearing pants today. I'm just going to let the dog out, guys. Her DNA, her DNA, our relatives' DNA. Like, I really want you. We're going to go to these pictures that I want you to really see. Is that their DNA was specifically designed for them to be a catalyst for our DNA, our question asking DNA. We have to have the polarity of what we need to change. We need to have the polarity present in our reality, especially as we're being raised, because we have evidence of how it shouldn't be anymore. Whether that is whether that is in relationships, whether that is relationship to self, whether that is relationship to life, whether it is relationship to career, whether it is relationship to purpose, to money. So as we discussed yesterday and in our first session, is that there are more people in our everyday life that probably have never had a conversation about what their purpose is. Yes? Would you agree? There is a lot of people in our everyday life that would never, ever discuss the possibility of the Atlantean era or the Lemurian era or the time, they do not discuss these conversations. And it's not because there's anything wrong with them. It's just that they are a catalyst for our questions to be bigger and grander, and to gather evidence and data of the world that we came here to transform. But the narrative that has been adopted by many of us, especially if we're feeling the stuckness and the shadow of fear, and the realness of fear, and the mistrust of fear, or the mistrust of ourself, self-judgment, all of the lower tier, the lower vibrations, it's because we have believed it. We have believed that their resistance and that the imperfection of our life was actually a punishment, because we're being exposed to perfection in different ways. Mothers should be, yeah. Mothers, you're a mother, you should be. Now, Georgia over here is a brand new mother. Please, have you received your manual on how to be the perfect mother yet? Have you received it in the mail? Has it arrived in your inbox? You didn't scan the QR code when you were giving birth? Not the QR code that tells you how to be the perfect mother and how to handle everything? You're not ready? This is what we're up against. We're up against these really, it's so subtle, but it's so big, because suffering is in the believing of these narratives. Is actually, the suffering is to not think for ourselves, because we've been trained not to think for ourselves from a very young age, school age. We don't think for ourselves. We have to ask the teacher to pee. I need to go to the toilet. May I go to the toilet? May I trust my bodily function? May I honor my body? Yes, no, it depends on what the teacher allows us to do, right? The teacher's not wrong, because the teacher was being trained the same way as we have. Can you see how this goes? Can you see why it's very important for us who have the big questions on our heart, who have the desire to hold bigger spaces or to move humanity forward in some way, shape, or form, right? It's very important for us to actually step up. And the reason why these lies exist is to cloak our ability. And the reason why I exist is to uncloak our abilities, is to actually set us free. That is from the day dot. But I have had to gather my own evidence in my own journey, in my life, to realize that nothing has been wrong. Everything has been perfect. Every bullying, every sexual assault that I experienced, every assault that I experienced, every downfall that I experienced was only to equip me to be who I am today, to have the voice that I have today, to remember who the fuck I am today, and to know that you are also impenetrable when you allow yourself to see the perfection of your journey. So the Wright brothers, they got it right. But while we're still trying to feel accepted and be accepted from a society we came here to change, we're never going to really truly gather the speed that is available for us once we land in our true mission. Like, who in your day-to-day life says, I'm on a mission, like my life mission, my sole purpose? Yeah, you do. Yes. In your day-to-day life. I say that to my brother. He calls me crazy. He's like, shut up with that bullshit. And this is why these containers are really important. This is why it's very, 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 very vital to be surrounded by fellow black sheep with the golden fleece. That's what I refer to us to. We are the black sheep with the golden fleece. We have the codes for advancement. We have it. But until you can actually accept that you are it, you have it, and all you need is to be surrounded by the conversation that continues to enliven that in you, you'll only keep, as Jess said before, you'll keep amping yourself up in a life that doesn't resonate with your forward motion. So it starts to bog us down again. You know, that pattern, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's not you. It's never been you. It's never been a problem that is about you. It's just that it's been cloaked, right? We've been programmed to continue to believe that we're not good enough, that we're not talented enough, that we're not gifted enough, that we're not ready enough. Okay. And so this is huge. Yeah, exactly. It's a big challenge to connect with like-minded people because we're fucking rare. We're rare diamonds, guys. We truly, truly are. And this particular conversation is a rare diamond of a conversation. There's many, many spaces, many, many light leaders, many, many experiences, but this particular conversation is rare. And for you to be magnetically attracted to this conversation today is very important to realize that, okay, so this is a conversation that lives in you as well. So, all right. So yesterday, last night's session, we went deep into the roots of the narratives. It really is about being able to ask yourself big questions and ask yourself important questions at the times when you feel blocked the most. That's when you'll be able to uncover the truth of the corruption. And the corruption being whatever. I will just give a blanket statement for corruption in this conversation. Corruption is essentially essentially what has happened for you to ever believe that you are not worthy, that you are of limitations, that you are not infinite, that you cannot do right now, do, and have exactly what you want and who you want to be right now. It's because there's been a corruption. And it's not about healing that corruption. You can't heal the corruption. You can only be aware of it and it be not about you. It be something that's happened to equip you. So therefore, then you ask different questions. It's like, cool. So right now, I'm not doing this thing. And you sit with yourself and you're like, what am I believing about myself right now? What do I believe? What am I really believing about myself? This is the most powerful craft and art form that you can have with yourself. When you're sitting in, I can't do it, but why? Because I physically can. So what is in my mind that is stopping me? Because that is actually what I'm here to change. That is the chain that needs to break. It's recognizing that. So as a quick recap, we went to that into the narratives, but what I want to share with you today, especially for those of you that came on board and you're like, I want to be able to fill rooms. You can't fill rooms without recognizing what's keeping you stuck. Because once you realize that unsticks you, then you don't even have to think. Then you can just create. Right. And I actually did a live on this today, and I'll bring this up right now because right now I feel like it'd be something that'd be very helpful for everyone that is here. Whether it is a launch that you're wanting to do, whether it's a retreat, an event, whether it's to magnetically attract into your field. When we as light leaders receive a vision or receive a pull, that is a living entity. It is a living spirit. When we decide that we choose freedom and we have this vision of freedom and an idea of freedom, that is an entity, that is an idea, that is from a construct from a higher dimensional field. That is who we co-create with. But what the problem is that we think, because no one else can see or feel it, that it's actually about us and our capability and what we have to do to bring it through, when it's actually not about us at all. And all we need to be willing to do is to listen and to create a relationship with that entity, because that entity already has the solutions for all the problems that you want to solve. But we're not listening to it because we're thinking first, well, how do I make a banner about this? So what we're already doing is literally receiving this, let's say, 20th dimension vision, right? Because the 20th dimension is well and truly more advanced. And then you've become an energetic match to a stream of information that 20th dimension is like, this is going to help that planet. The planet's become an energetic match, and you are also an energetic match to it. You are an energetic match to it. You would not have received that idea if you were not already ready, if you were not already an energetic match. It definitely was not an energetic match to a Tesla car. I'm definitely not an energetic match to, sustainability with crops. No, I'm an energetic match to what comes through me. Yes. So let's clear that really quickly, because when we receive ideas, the first thing we shouldn't do is to ask ourselves, am I ready? You're already ready. You would not have not received it. Okay. So let's just clear that already. All right. Because then from there, what I see a lot of facilitators and light leaders do, whether it's whatever the idea is, whatever the vision is, right? We therefore then take this 20th dimensional vibration and we cut it into pieces. We fucking mutilate it into the 3D. We mutilate it into the 3D. We're like, okay, I'm going to make a banner. And then we try and fit this 20th dimensional vibration into a 3-dimensional banner. And then we're like, oh, why isn't anyone talking? Or why am I not feeling like anyone's attracted to it? It's because you cut its head off, right? Because you listened to the collective, you listened to regurgitation. You were like, okay, so this is how it's done here. When the 20th dimensional vibration is like, I'm showing you a new way. I'm showing you a new way. This is why meditation is important. This is why sitting with yourself is important, is to listen. We are the vessel. We're a vessel. We're not the thing. We're the vessel. The ego makes it about us. The ego makes it about our readiness. The ego makes it about the branding colors. The ego, right? Where it's us against our ego. The ego wants to make it about our survival because that's how we've been trained. The ego wants to make it about how much money can we make. The 20th dimension vibration is like, we got you. Just do what we're collaborating, we're co-creating. For anyone that knows my work with Awaken, and I shared with you yesterday, Awaken was birthed through me going, oh, this weird thing's happened. Gift, and I'm bringing it through. Yeah. Bringing that through was me listening and co-creating with the spirit of Awaken, right? Which means I would ask Awaken. I would ask her. She was a feminine spirit to me. She had a mother role to me. And I was like, how are we doing this? Like, what is required now? Who are we speaking to? Who are we speaking to? Right? So every creation that was brought through through conversation with her. But what in turn that did was that created a magnet, because that's what everyone who was attracted to it felt. That they were like, it was like a moth to a flame. Every event was completely full with wait lists. Every retreat was completely full, right? And people were flying to this event. People were doing whatever they could, like Georgia, yes, Kara, yes, like they would be like, what, how do I don't even know why I'm coming. That's the best answer that you want. That's when you know you're co-creating, because you're becoming an energetic match to remember that question that we asked last night. Before we bring anything through, we've got to ask the question, how will they experience themselves after they experience the experience? Therefore, then, throughout the invitation process, what we need to be doing is vibrating at the experience, as the experience of themselves after the experience. Now, in the nature of the online space, we're forgetting the importance of vibration and energy. So therefore getting stuck with, I will be that, I will vibrate as that after people come, right? And therefore, then people don't come, and then you're never vibrating at that. And then we go, it's not for me, right? It's because we give up on the co-creation or the collaboration because we've made it about ourselves. But when we can devote to being a vibration that is of the living example of the outcome. So if you're promising freedom, or if you're revolutionizing, if you're healing, right? Whatever your event, retreat, your launch, your creation is, you must devote not to filling that space, because that's not your job. Your job is to be a living transmission of the experience of themselves after the experience. Is this making sense? This is why we have to embody what we're putting out there. It's not because of like embodiment. It's all about embodiment. No, it's about honoring the vibration that has chosen you to be a vessel of its co-creation here on this three-dimensional planet. To feel it, right? But you see how it simplifies this process for us. When instead of going, how do I fill this space? It's like, how do I be the living example of the result that we're co-creating? And therefore, then what happens? You don't even need words. You don't even need to actually create a banner if you don't want to. If that's the co-creation, is like, actually, we're going to fucking disrupt that narrative. We're going to fill this space without a banner or without graphics. Yeah. Because you're vibrating so much so the ripple of that is undeniable. It's an undeniable pull. You're creating your soulmate connections. Your soulmate connections. It's like love. It's the same thing. Love, business, money, all of it. It's the same thing. It's about energy matching. On the topic of love, you're looking for love. Who are you as a wife? If you're looking for marriage, be a wife now. Behave like a wife now. Show up like a wife now. The wife that it's about embodying the energy signature of the result. Simple manifestation, but it's the same that applies as a facilitator. And we are in a timeline that it's like every single year that goes by, I'll call it our sniffing out of embodiment is getting more attuned, because there's so much fucking bullshit out there, which is great. Everyone's on their journey, but everyone's feeling now this sensation in their body of like, everyone's talking about freedom. Who's real? Who's real? They're not going, who has the best banner? Who's the best at Canva? Who's the best at reels? No, who is real? Who is real? Yes, discernment is fine tuning. It absolutely is. It's happening. It's applying everywhere, right? So this is why this conversation is so important. Okay, so today I'm going to share with you about the sacred scaling method. And the sacred scaling method is literally a method right under your nose. It has been under our nose for a very long time. Some of you already here that actually have access to the sacred scaling method already, but you haven't actually uncloaked it. So for me, one of the things that I shared yesterday, so I'm going to share with you the story. Okay. So we're going to uncloak this together. So you can actually see how we have been separated from freedom, how we've been separated from true expression, how we have been separated from infinite abundance as light leaders who are so connected to higher realms. There is a cloak between us and potential. And it's not you. So when I shared with you yesterday, when I activated my light language, 2019. A year before that, I followed my pull. I didn't know why. It just felt like it had to happen, right? Like we said, you want people in your rooms that go, I don't know why I'm here, but it's like, I feel it. I need to be here. Isn't that feeling like really fucking potent? It's like the undeniable pull, right? It's the undeniable pull. So a year before that happened, I shared with you that I started my high ticket affiliate marketing journey. I don't know why. Honestly, I could say that it's because I wanted extra money. I could say that's a story. But in truth, what I truly knew is that if I didn't do it, I felt like I was going to die. That's how I felt. That's why I was like, I'm in. I have to do whatever it takes to do this because I feel like if I don't do this, I'm going to die. It's like my soul, a part of my soul was going to die because I was very, very tired of the capped template. Moving on, a year, I just did what I needed to do. I just did the training. Everything's told. I was just honestly, it's a dream because all I did was do what I was told to do. I was just like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. So when I started the facilitation journey, and I was like, oh my God, okay, cool. So I need to start this. At that stage, in full transparency, I'd actually paid off the investment for the affiliate investment, right? By that time, within a year, I'd already paid it all off. That was my goal. That's what I wanted. But I still didn't have money because I was still building this thing. But when my gift appeared, I was like, well, I don't need that anymore. I'm just going to pour everything into this new gift. I'm going to pour everything into Awaken. And I did. And so the first few events were so exciting. It was so exciting. I was filling the events. We were making around the revenue for about each event that we were doing was about $2,000 to $3,000. Very minimal profits because I was still in building phase. So building phase is like I still had to buy instruments. I wanted to grow the business. I wasn't like, cool, I have $2,000 like extra. I had $2,000 and I had no profits because I was buying instruments, I was buying equipment. I literally collected instruments over time. I had to fly to different towns. So we decided to take Awaken around Australia, right? So we went to Mackay, we went to Tasmania, we went to the Sunshine Coast. We were going to the Gold Coast. We created these events in different places. It was so exciting. And then the retreats happened. But what I started to realize was that, yes, there was a lot of high revenue, but I was still feeling like that I wasn't actually getting ahead. I was running the events and I was literally just on the cusp of having to go back to work because I was running the events, investing to run an event, right? To hire the room is $2,000 for a 6-hour event, depending on where you're at. So there was all of these different costs that kept coming. So I was arriving and I was facilitating, but there was this element of like, oh, I'm kind of like, how do I get ahead? So what I did accidentally, and I'm going to share this with you because it was very accidental. My mentor at the time, who's still my mentor today, can you believe that? 6 years on, I have a mentor who is a multimillionaire, and she's still my mentor today because of the affiliate marketing model. She's like, look, we're launching this thing. Just do it. Just do it with us. I was like, okay. I was kind of off in an off season. So I was like, well, an off season in facilitation looks like this. For me, in facilitation looks like this. It looks like the on season is preparing for the event, putting the event together, filling, like having the event filled. If it was a retreat, it was the funneling, right? Putting ads out, the sales calls, the qualifications, this putting the actual event together, right? Off season was when I kind of had crickets in those moments of like I have space, but I don't really have anything happening. Now in the off season, what I was doing was I was doing the launches. I was just like, cool, I'm just going to do this thing that I'm told to do. And what I started to discover was that in the on season of my facilitation, I was facilitating, I was in my magic, I was in my purpose. And in the off season, when I was doing these launches, just doing what I was told to do, right? Because of the model, I was actually still generating an income. And I started to notice, because this income is a self-scaling income. Now, what that means is that it scales itself, right? As a coach or as a facilitator, you have to raise your prices to scale to scale your profits, right? So you either have to raise your prices as a coach or as a facilitator, you raise your prices for events, you raise your prices for retreats, or you make bigger retreats. But the thing is, when you make a bigger retreat or a bigger offering, what also goes up? Investments. Yes. So it's a balancing act. So even though the retreats are very high profiting, I was high revenue. Revenue for a retreat was over $100,000 per retreat. Yep. So that was the revenue, but that was not the profits, because so much had to go back into the retreat. Also, I was living off that. Now, how this actually integrated and worked well together, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it. So we're going to go into the wealth consciousness. Okay. What happened was, because I was actually generating an income from this little side hustle that I had going, and it was self-scaling. So it wasn't just, I wasn't earning little income. It was like, it would go from, 2,000 per sale, 3,000 per sale, 6,000, up to 6,000 per sale, right? That 6,000, can you imagine where that 6,000 went, even if I did one a month? Where did that go? So what that did was supplement my bottom line. And what I mean about supplement my bottom line, that took care of my living costs. And as an event facilitator, what did that mean for me? That meant that when I was stepping in front of anyone at an event or a retreat, I was completely in full alignment of abundance. I had no worries. I had no fear. I hope I can make it this month, right? This is where the cap is for facilitators, and this is where the cloak is. I never, ever, ever, ever looked at this model, this extra model. That's all it is. It's just an extra stream of income and impact, because during that time, I also was making a lot of impact and a lot of income. I never saw it as an industry. This is where the cloak is the problem. We are in a narrative, just like the Wright brothers were, where it's stupid, it's scammy. Hey, let's actually put it in the comments. Let's actually put in the comments every stigmatic myth, whatever you've heard about the affiliate marketing, network marketing, MLM. Put it in the comments. What is drowning our consciousness right now about these models? Let's just put it in there. It's a scam. Yep. Pyramid scheme. Yep. Scam. Disbelief. Not real. Cult. Oh, yeah. I'm here for the cult. Look, I'm a cult anyways. Scam. Only a few people get to the top to make money, right? Perfect. These are just some of the things. Okay. Now sit with that. It's a cloak. It's designed for us to not see the truth. The truth is, it's a very lucrative model. I never saw it as an industry. And this was a gift for me, because I was so blind to what anyone else was saying. Because what did I say yesterday? When I was dead broke, I wanted to become a millionaire. I made a decision. Because I decided that I'm going to become a millionaire my way, I didn't listen to anyone else. I didn't listen to anyone's reservations, because to me, it makes complete sense. A self-scaling model that has a collaborative is designed to be collaborative, which means that I didn't even have to run the web classes or the launches. There was other people doing it for me, so I could focus on my facilitation. And I was still I was still earning and I was still impacting and I was still able to do that. And it equals legacy. So right now, that's a big question we need to ask ourselves. Right now, with where you're at, in 10 years' time, will you have created and established a legacy income that keeps living for 10 generations after you? No, because we can't do that on our own. Can you see? So I never saw it the way anyone else did because everyone else was just fucking broke. Everyone else wasn't facilitating. They didn't have the vision that I had. They didn't have the tenacity and the drive that I had. So why would I listen to anyone else? But because I didn't listen, I started to win. Now, what I never did, and this is the thing, I never had the intentions to bring the two together. I never had that. When I ran my events, I ran my events clean. I never ran my events with the intention to enroll anyone into this other model. That was never, ever, that was a hard no, hard boundary. Why? Because I'm working with two different entities. Why would we prostitute each other's, these entities that are of different energetic signatures? But see, this is the thing. This is why the whole journey for me, it's like I've looked at it and gone, wow, I have literally been a vessel for two very powerful entities, both of them equating to freedom. Now, what I did discover is that when I did, and when I was you know, building my enagic business, because it is enagic, or doing the things, let's say I was never actually building it. I was never like, I'm going to build my business. I'm here to build my business. No, that is not what I'm here to do. I'm here to be free. I'm here to leverage and lean on a model that is designed for me to be free. I'm here to trust that. I'm here to trust the spirit of that. I'm here to speak into the energy signature of that. Now, what happens there is that people I did not expect would come on and they would go, this is what I've been looking for. So both scaled simultaneously to over 6 figures in a year. This is how this broke little Jacks who couldn't even start, put a deposit down on a room, an event room, scaled to over 300,000 in 2 years, is because I integrated both. I never saw them as separate from the vision. And this is a very important conversation because while we're still separating and making the vision about us and making it about our purpose, and we're not seeing that true magic, we're not seeing how we can take flight. And now I'm in a position where I'm taking flight. I'm literally living the dream of actually being able to facilitate freely. I have so much space, so much income, so much impact, so much collaboration because I've embraced this and I feel very free. This is what I wanted, right? This is the lifestyle I wanted. Now it's time to share this lifestyle with you because you're not seeing it. So why this has been so groundbreaking is because here's another thing. As a facilitator with a high vibrational message, high vibrational advanced message, right? We would consider that high vibrational, high ticket, right? Because you don't receive that if you don't want to be a millionaire. If you didn't want to be a millionaire, you would receive visions on how to make your Christmas table really pretty, and that being a passion. Really, that's real, right? It's like there are incredible humans that are that's what their role is, right? I don't fucking think like that. I can't like I'd rather spend $1,000 on someone to do my Christmas tree. That's where I'm at, right? But we all have different like cravings, yeah, what we love. Now, for us, because we've resonated with freedom and liberation. Let's say we take the cap off. We've taken the cap off abundance, of earning, of freedom, of spaciousness, of connection. We want it all, right? So therefore then, why I've aligned with Enagic and why it makes sense to me. I didn't know this at the beginning. I'm not saying this because this is why I did it, but why it makes sense to me is because there's an uncapped and very high lucrative income model and a high vision and a low, like let's say low vibrational ticket or low vibrational model in terms of like the income. That's why we feel we get stuck, because we're here moving from the slavery consciousness, the slavery constructs. Slavery consciousness and slavery constructs looks like this: suffering, like true suffering, through fear, through doubt, true questions, through questions. And those questions: how can I survive this week? How can I survive this month? How will we survive this year? How do we just get by? That is the slavery consciousness model. That's what we're up against. This is why light leaders must advance to the uncapped, unfiltered, no walls, no ceilings lifestyle. Because we can't, it's like we cannot help slaves be free when we're still a slave. When we're still in the slavery construct, we don't have the evidence, we don't have the pathway. This is why these visions come to you, is to create the pathway. And so this has been what has been missing for so long, for so many light leaders, is that we continue to separate these dynamics, these entities that actually are here to work together. So if you could see it in that way, if you could see that you're actually here to bridge, we talk about who can resonate with bridging worlds. Yeah. We can't build with one world. Yeah. We have to be bridging two worlds. And the two worlds is the slavery world, or the slavery consciousness, versus freedom, which is from the inside. The byproduct is the material. The byproduct is everything else. The inside is where the slavery is. Now, how do we free ourselves from that? We make bold decisions, we make courageous moves, but most importantly, we surround ourselves with a community of people who are speaking your language day in, day out, no breath taken. Yeah. Because while we're surrounded by the slavery consciousness narratives, we are not accessing what's available for us. We don't have soundboards. We need soundboards to be able to actually reach into someone's inbox and go, yo, can you help reflect to me a little bit like what's going on here, to help me launch this, to help me do this? What am I not seeing? Yeah. The only way that we can do that with this one model, right, with the slavery conscious model, is we have to continue to invest for someone else's mentorship. So for me, I found myself doing that. I found myself investing and investing and investing into coaches and mentors, which is great. I'm a massive believer in that. But what I also discovered, where the problem is in that construct, is that there's a cap on time. As a facilitator and as a coach, and with a value of legacy, of creating a movement, who can really resonate with creating a movement and living transmission that lives on, right? So therefore then, are we not wondering why we're still enslaved in the construct that says 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? Who's coached before? Right? 5 years ago, let's say 5 years ago, you had a coaching container between, July and December 5 years ago. Are they active clients now in your field 5 years later? So how can we create a fucking legacy? How can we create a movement when there's so many doors closing based on financial initiations over and over again? How can we create a living movement when we have to close the doors? It's not that we're closing it because we're assholes. It's not that we're closing it because we don't love humanity and we're only doing it because we're selfish, right? Can you see how it's been so wronged? Like, when we are so heart-centered, every single one of us here, but it's the model that's asking us to close the doors, that has us to close the doors, because we have to make it a living. We have to make a living. We have to keep enrolling. We have to, because it's what's fueling us. But it's the model that's the problem. That one model. When you're here to create a movement, but you have to keep closing the doors. And then when you're working with someone else, again, we're in that enslaved model. You pay I've paid $70,000 to work with a mentor for 1 year. I haven't spoken to her for the last 2 years. And it's not her, it's not me. It's the model. But in the affiliate space, guess what? In the space, let's call it the sacred scaling model. Let's call it the integrated model. Because this is what it is for me. I still have the privilege to mentor women and men that started with me from the beginning 6 years ago. I still have the privilege every single day to be available in my inbox and to be available for a call and be available for their next big move or their bold, courageous move, to be there. That is an honor and a privilege for somebody who is here to create a movement, right? Imagine that. Imagine your door always being open because there's no gain and there's no loss. Can you see how there's such a difference between the model that is about gain and about loss? Gain and loss, gain and loss, gain and loss. We're so dependent. We show up because our life depends on gain and loss versus it being open because we're not attached, because it's all been set up for us, because we have systems, we have a way in place that remains us connected forever. So these incredible people that I get to mentor, who are also mentors for other people now because of this, I get to live with them. This is where it's a living transmission. I witness their children. Cara, her children are a part of my life. Her family is a part of my life. My family is a part of her life because this is how it's been created. And for me, I know this for a fact. When I stepped away from this sacred scaling model. I chose it part-time while I chose facilitation more. But what happened, and the reason why I have moved into being a messenger of integrating these models, is because in 2022, I was literally at the peak of everything. I started to feel in my body, I started to question, I started to get blocks around facilitation. I started to feel blocked a little bit. I was just like, I want to bring this through. I don't know how, but also, is that me or is that my ego? Is it because we've peaked? Is it because we're doing so well? Beginning of 2022, I had clients in a container, in a light worker container, clients. They had all invested $12,000 each to be in a 4-month container where I was to equip them for their facilitation, right? For their retreats, for everything. It was a very potent container. I honor this investment. I honor this role so much. I also had retreats in place for the year, right? And done all that. In 2022, just before Easter, and then discover my partner at the time of 5 years had a wife living in the same city and had been for 8 months, and they had been sharing a bed. Human stuff, yeah? But what can you imagine happened to me? My capacity and my ability to facilitate myself was hard, let alone hold this responsibilities of this high level container. So we're all running for this high revenue, 10K months, 20K months. Like, I was fucking doing it. That container was $120,000 container. It was high end, high level. But then the thing was the responsibility that comes with it is huge. So chasing the money is an absolute illusion. And so I was unable to facilitate at my best, but I did my best. I had to cancel the retreats. I had to cancel things because all I wanted to do was run and fucking hide. But guess what never let me down was the collaborative sacred scaling model, the integrated model that I didn't know I integrated was actually savior because of passive income, because I was earning from other people's efforts and sales, and I was earning from the effort that I put in like the year prior. And that's what actually helped me while I went and hid. All I wanted to do was get drunk. All I wanted to do was sleep with men. All I wanted to do was hide. That was my human. So imagine holding these roles and we don't have a safeguard. This was a safeguard for me. That year was such a big year for me. It was the same year I met my husband today, right? Wow, what the heck? But it was in May that year in 2022, right? 2022 was the master architect year. It actually was the architect of our new life, of our life moving forward. So in May 2022, I was invited to go to a retreat, and this retreat was within the Enagic business. It was with fellow leaders, and it was for the rising leaders, right? And I arrived at this retreat, and I connected with women that we were at the same retreat like 3 years ago. That's when we first met, and we were like this. See what was happening? We were just so like, we were like family. And I realized in that moment, in that retreat, I realized that this was the place for me because in the last 3 years, these are the only women that stayed, was because of this design of community, the design of collaboration. Even to this day, 6 years on, we're still connected strongly. We're still in each other's inboxes. We're still helping each other rise. We've risen together. We went from ground zero, and now we're multi streamed income earners, but we started from the same place together. So you're rising together. You're actually rising together. It's not a like mine. We're rising together. And so that's when I decided that I need to take a break for facilitation. I need to heal. I need to move through my shit. I need to do that. But because I had a safeguard, I was able to do that. Because the whole time I integrated both models, I didn't separate them. I never separated them because I saw it as a model for me, not an industry. So this is why I share this with you, is because the more that you see it as the industry that's been painted, the painted industry, and you're not thinking for yourself, you're not looking for yourself, you're not curious for yourself, you're not actually making decisions for yourself, you're basing it on perhaps what everyone else is saying, right? What the fears around it. All you're doing is cloaking your own potential. You're cloaking your own, it's a very logical, pragmatic thing. Now, fast forward from that, when I made a decision to completely step away from a facilitation for the moment, February 2023, my mother passed away. She was diagnosed one Friday for cervical cancer. The next Friday, she was gone. And now I can see why the entities, they've always had my back. The entities already knew what was coming. The spirits already knew what was coming. I was always being prepared, right? But like we said yesterday, the more that you remain at the vibration that you're at and not really taking this bold step forward, you're just going to remain there. And that's completely up to you. You're not going to be punished for that, but you are going to suffer. As a light leader, you are going to suffer. You're going to suffer when you don't allow the evolution to actually take you. That's just what happens. So is this landing for you guys? Right? Because this is all you're going to hear from me from day dot now, because I get it. I have integrated both. I have created a way for light leaders that was accidental, where you actually importantly honoring the spirit of facilitation, the spirit of your events, the spirit that moves through you of the helping, right? But you're also honoring the spirit of advancement. There's two spirits, but you have to bridge those. You have to bridge the entities. But all we're doing right now, the problem in our arena, is that we're so egoically attached to one model, and we're rejecting another because of what? Why? We're not thinking for ourselves. We're not dreaming for ourselves. And this is what I love. This is what I love the most, is to be able to also facilitate like this and be like, yo, I did it. We can all do it. In fact, we're all doing it. In fact, in 2025, we're doing it, right? Because it's a collaboration. We're moving forward together. It's an allegiance. You don't need another coach. You don't need another closed door opportunity. You need an allegiance. You need to move forward together. And the narrative moving forward together is a narrative we're discussing today, that we're resonating with today. It's no longer about self. It's no longer about our own thing. It's about, how can we all rise together? How can we be a voice for integrating what's right? How can we be a voice for really seeing what has been actually causing so much suffering for light leaders? So much suffering, the questioning of self, the not, the how do I, it's all we've needed to do was step into an arena that's here collectively to move forward. So in saying that, I've got notes, guys, because sometimes I get a little bit, I know you love my work. Is this landing? This is the sacred scaling method. The sacred scaling method is the integration of two matching vibrational models, the vehicles, the entities. But you have to be willing to admit and see how the capped models is what is keeping you capped. You have to be willing to see. And it's not you. It's never been you. It's been the model. But when you can embrace very much without emotion, because there's so much emotion that comes into it. What if, because you know, who resonates with the Pleiadians? Yeah, the Pleiadians, Arcturians, and any of the celestial cousins that are vibrating on a higher level. The one thing that they don't have, like we have, is emotions. They resonate with love, and they're very pragmatic. They're very pragmatic, meaning they inspire us to do what it takes to move forward without emotion. They're very business minded. They're entrepreneurial as fuck. They do. They don't care about like they just don't. They don't. It doesn't. It's not that they don't care. That's what they care, but they don't actually resonate with our our insecurities. They're like, we don't understand. You just need to do this, and then you need to do this, and then this happens. We've seen it. We've created it in our civilization. All you need to do is this and this. But then we're like, but I don't know if I can. Afraid of my power. What if they reject me? They're like, all you need to do is do this and do this. Yeah. It's so true, right? You're laughing because you're like, oh my God, it's so true. They do tell me that. They tell me this all the time. They're just like, why are you not, why haven't you done that yet? Well, what my husband's going to say? What are my friends going to say? What are the other people going to say? They're like, but we've already equipped you. Just do this and do this. Yeah. This is the arena of the multi-level, the multi-millions, the billion. Like this is the arena that you have to be willing to step into. Just do this and just do this. And this equals this. And then do this, and then do this, and this equals this. But every time we do this, and then we do this, equal to this, and then the next step is present. But what we're doing is well, if I don't do this and I don't have many people for this, then I can't do this. And then the equal never happens. And then the growth never happens. The rule of one. The rule of one. All we need to do is impact one person. But that one person is ourselves. Because if we don't impact ourselves, it never ripples to be a vibrational match for anyone else. We are the producer of the vibration. So I'd love to hear from you because I actually have something that I want to share with you guys as well, which is really fucking exciting. I want to create a space for questions. I want to create a space because I know some of you here, like I said, you already access the sacred scaling method, but for some reason you've separated it. Some of you haven't. Some of you are here because you're already a part of the dynamic of this. So in accordance and alignment to this particular conversation, right? Because I'm keeping a protective barrier around this conversation. No cloaks allowed. This gets to be a very pragmatic conversation, not an emotional one. Does anyone have any questions that could help with some clarity around this? Or any aha moments, realizations, triggers? Georgia, go for it.
So my question is, when you first started with facilitating and wanting to hold space for people, did you ever have the end goal of not it being about income? Because I struggle with, I get that, when you're using your own time and not working because this is, your job and you want to make that income. But my end goal has always wanted to be just to awaken people, to open the hearts of people, to open the minds of people, and to, get on that same alignment. My end goal is never been about to make, a major amount of income. If it can get me by, it can get me by. That's, the only goal I have. But my goal is more the richness in the heart. I don't care about, even though times is hard and, the income is absolutely, crazy, and I have a baby, so I need to make money. I get that. But my end goal is not to, make millions. It's to wake millions.
Yep. Yep. So this is such a great question. I love this so much because it is such a reflection on the narrative around money. What has made that wrong? Because therefore then what has made the desire for more money wrong? Because therefore then, if you know your heart, with $1 million, how much more does that give you an opportunity to expand who you are, expand how much you love, right? So this is the great conversation around money as a co-creator. It's very important to make peace with money, to be proud of money, to be excited for money because of the things that we know that we love it for. For me, I love surprising people. I love it. I love getting in their inbox and just going, "Hey, I just bought you a bathhouse experience because I could see that you're a little bit stressed." I love an old friend lost her mum recently and she asked me to borrow some money. I said, "Fucking let's go." I love that. Yeah. So this is what it accentuates in me. That's what I want $1 million, more. I want more of it so I can just keep giving more. But I love it. But in the perspective of our work in this world, right? The thing is that we have to make peace with money as a co-creator for the hearts that we touch. Because firstly, you need to pay for things to reach more people. The option is that you go out and knock it on as many doors as possible to share love and healing. You jump online, you have to pay to develop skill sets. You have to pay for advertising. You have to pay for platforms. You have to pay for websites, right? It's not money. We're doing it for money. We're doing it so we can reach more people. So when we can, for our own self, because there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of people that will want you to feel wrong for wanting more money, but it's actually a flex to be proud of wanting to become who we're here to become. As a tool, money is a tool and a co-creator for that. But making peace with it, because I get it. I also was very similar. I was very happy with just getting by. I have big mission on my heart, very happy with just getting by. But it got really hard to just get by the more people that entered my field to serve. I needed to take care of my health. I needed more time. I needed in your case, right? Let's say you want to impact 1 million hearts. It's you're going to need help with your daughter. You're going to need someone to help you with her. But you need to pay that for someone, right? So it's about seeing it pragmatically rather than emotionally. And the reason why we say the figures is because it's a measure. It's not the goal. So the millionaire is using the term millionaire. You can say something about millionaire, and what that does, it sets the tone of the energy, right? It sets the tone of the energy. It kind of feels like anything's possible. There's a lot more available there. There's more choice, right? It sets the tone. But it's our relationship to the figures that needs to be cleaned up, especially on a pragmatic point of view, because money is a measure. Money is just a measure. It just shows you how many people you're impacting, how much you're growing, how much you're making bold moves, because it's a byproduct of you. It's an absolute byproduct of you. And I want to share something with you that I've shared with many before. especially for those of us that feel a little bit icky around charging. Who feels icky around charging? Let's say you have this freaking amazing idea and you want to like, yeah, again, you're making it about you, because here's how money works, how she weaves. When someone chooses to work with you and is initiated into working with you through the standard of the energy exchange, let's say $300 for a session, when they open that for themselves. Do you see? They open that for themselves. They're not just opening it, giving it to you, and then they're closed door and they're never going to receive money ever again, and they're going to fucking not eat, and then they're going to be homeless because they decided to spend in, that's what the thoughts that we have. Like, what if I'm taking money from them? I don't know if they can afford that. Holy shit, who is saying that? That's not your soul that's saying that. Your soul is like, knows that it's a co-creation. This is why I've always leaned into investing, and I always encourage people to invest higher, because all that's doing is opening doors for themselves. Because once you invest 100,000, you become 100,000. You become the energetic match to it. It's the narrative around scarcity and slavery that keeps us enslaved from actually moving forward with it and going, yeah. And I said this to my husband the other day. He's like, I want to invest $8,000 for this like mentorship thing. I said, good, because I want you to invest 100,000 eventually. This is nothing. You've got to see it, see beyond the constructs and the cloaking, the limitation. I only have $5,000 and I'm going to die. Survival. You're not going to die. You're already alive. You're going to grow. You're going to initiate. You're going to actually access codes that you need at that level of investment. You need those codes. So many are still kind of like, I don't know, wait till I'm ready. No, you do. And then you're ready. But you have to step into those codes. It's like you have to embody the matching, right? Isn't that like when we say $1 million, right? When we say we want to be a millionaire, wouldn't the goal then be to be able to invest 100,000? Isn't that like the investment goal? Like how cool would it feel to be like, yeah, I'm just going to invest $100,000 into this thing that I want, right? How cool does that feel? How freeing does that feel? Because I want it, because I know it's my next step. We have to be very pragmatic about it. It's not emotional. Now, the emotional aspect is the fact that we continue to listen and believe the narrative that we're here to change. This is why it's important to continue to have these conversations, right? Money's not fucking scary. It's you that's scared because you haven't seen or you haven't decided. So yesterday I asked you, have you decided? When you've decided, the pathway doesn't matter. It makes sense. Every scaling option makes sense because you've already decided. But you haven't decided when you're still conditional with the path. When you're conditional with the path, that's your ego. You haven't decided. You haven't decided on your soul mission fully, not completely. It's still conditional, right? This is how I speak to myself as well, guys. So this is why I'm saying this to you. I say, this is how I converse with myself all the time. This is not just about money. This is about relationships. This is about our ability to really move forward pragmatically. Do this and then do this and then get this. Right? Get 10 leads. Go get 10 leads. You can get 10 leads in 10 minutes if you wanted to. And they're like, if I have enough time, like, I don't know. This stuff. Truly. But this is what we're up against. So there's nothing wrong with it. This is why it's important to have a long legacy. This is why it's important to have a movement. Because you can't have, if you don't have an environment where you can bounce your evolution through, you're always just going to be alone. So that is what I want you to really sit and consider with. It's to really sit and consider your current model of operation, identify and admit that it is that, or the elements of that is keeping you at bay. That's all it is, keeping you at bay, right? Because for those of you that are like, okay, I can see it, I understand it, but I have more questions. I want to understand more. I want to see this model. I want to be a part of something. I can feel it. I have an invitation for you. 2025 is the beginning of a whole new timeline, a whole new timeline for me, a whole new timeline for us, and we're moving forward in a big way. So I have the opportunity there's two opportunities, right? There's one opportunity for light workers, for light leaders, for those of you, you're either in this space, you're not in this space, you want to move forward in your facilitation and whatever it is. I have a 33-day initiation that's starting in January, right? We are going to go through purification. We're going to establish your 2025 clarity branding. And it's not going to be, if you kind of know me by now, it's not going to be your color palette. You're going to stretch motherfucking edges. You're going to do shit that is exciting and riveting and compelling. And people are going to be like, what the fuck? What the fuck? You're going to vibrate we have to establish the vibration, right? Of the message as a messenger. You're going to embody that, right? That's 33 days of complete embodiment. Then there's also the other opportunity to actually walk with me. So in this space, over these last few years, I have created 3 very successful streams of income. I have created a very incredible life. I'm taking light leaders with me. I have designed a template for light leaders who want to facilitate, who want to shine in facilitation, but also have the safeguard, also have literally basically what I did and I didn't know I was doing. We're bringing that to the surface, and this is our template, right? My personal goal is to exceed 100,000 as fast as possible of impact, of income, to therefore then expand from that place. That's where I'm starting from, and I'm taking you with me. It's going to be do this, we do this, it will equal this. That's all that's going to be. You're going to come into a space where you're literally just going to be, well, you don't have to think. All you have to do is create. So if it's facilitation that you're wanting, and you're wanting a safeguard, and you're wanting to establish the bridging, the advanced model, that's going to be there too. Now, I want you to close your eyes for a second. Taking a deep breath in to your body. Just relaxing your shoulders and really taking a deep breath into your heart, drop into your heart. There's a lot of you in your head. I can feel the energy. Really drop into your heart. Taking some deep breaths into your heart. And in this moment, really aligning the coherence of your heart, feeling the energy in your heart and the coherence of the message that is in your heart with no walls. The message, that's it, the message. And tuning into the vibration of the message with no walls, no ceilings, the purity of the message. And the goodness of the message and the sensations of the message, the purity of it. And allowing the coherence to happen for you within your heart. And allowing yourself to really feel the spaciousness of the alignment. Alignment of being the exact match of the message. With no walls, no ceilings, no expectations. And now I want you to feel the vibration of freedom. Through freedom. Through. No walls, no ceilings. And notice what happens in your body. True freedom. No questions, no doubts, no fears, just love. Just love. Love from the 20th dimension. Love from the Pleiadians. Love from the Arcturians. Love from your celestial cousins. Just pure, pure, pure love. The spaciousness of that. The ease of that. And really feel it and move it through your body. Move it through your body. Don't judge it. Just move it. It's that simple. Now, I want you to open your eyes. And this is a glimpse of the next offering. This is the glimpse of our allegiance. This is the glimpse of the invitation. What can you see? Exactly. Nothing. Nothing. We're not filling this next timeline with shit and crap and distractions and distortions. This is about you. This is about you as a vessel, as a messenger, connected. You wouldn't be here if you weren't connected. This is about you and about your legacy and rewriting that and letting go of everything that has been in your way up until now. This is about creation. This is about rule breaking. This is about rebellion. This is about not needing to be seen. Being a vessel of what it feels like. So, this allegiance that is from the ground zero, you are the OGs. I have not released this yet. And I also know that this is it. This is it for me. I'm very fucking excited. I know. If this is at all, either of them for you is like, actually, I'm curious, I'm going to invite you to reach out to me and book a call. That's all we're going to do. Because I want to get to know you. I want to understand you. I want to see if this is what is for you, by you, through you, right? It's not about me. It's not about me. This is about a legacy. This is about humanity. This is about our collective of light leaders that have been cloaked from the truth. It is about us. It's not about money. It's about coming together. It's about having an inbox of fucking loving light leaders every day going, what's cracking? Let's fucking do this shit. Let's create more magic, more magic, more magic. Okay, cool. Now we're going to launch together. Now we're going to get our voices out. Now we're going to speak about what's fucking real. We're not going to talk about flaky freedom. We're not going to talk about that. That's not what we're here for. We're here for a message that needs to be birthed. We are the Wright brothers. We're here to aliven and awaken that part of us because we've been so cloaked and from stigmatic bullshit that separated us from fucking exploding and literally feeling at home in ourselves and at home in our visions and at home with a community that get it. This is what the allegiance means for me, is for you to wake up every day and go, fuck, I feel so supported in actually doing some fucking magical shit. Right? And not just now, but in 2 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later, guys, this is what I'm talking about. This is not just you joining me now and then, it's just within 6 months it's closed. It's about in 10 years, we're going to be on this screen. There's going to be multiple screens. We're going to be hosting events with multiple fucking light leaders standing together. And then we're going to be going, remember that time on the 6th of the 11th, 2024? It was just us. Remember that? That is what it's about. It's about actually going, fuck yeah, like I could actually do next year on my own, or I could really fucking lean in and be a part of something huge for me and for everyone. Because that's all we're here to do, is to love each other through our fucking wildness and to take flight when everyone else in our life doesn't believe we can fly. You need people around you that has no gain, no loss attached to you flying, because we just genuinely want you to fly. I know this for a fact. I have 100 people already that I get to love in this integrated model. I have 100 that I didn't even know 6 years ago. So therefore, then it means that you could also, this is your legacy. You're going to look back on it and go, fuck, look at this movement. I fucking did this because of us. And also you're also reaching out to others going, you can too. But it's like having being solid about this, being solid about really fucking tearing down the veils of these cloaks, of these distortions, of these illusions, and being really pragmatic. Yeah. So if any of this is resonating with you, you've got questions, I want to talk to you, right? This is about you. So reach out to me and ask for the link. You're going to book a call. I'm going to send you a questionnaire so I can understand you. And then I'm just going to share. We're going to have a conversation. I'm not going to fucking sell to you. I don't do that. That's not my genius. That's not my vibe. But we are going to have a very serious conversation. And I want to prove to you how this is possible without any graphics. We just need to come together again and actually have conversations and talk about what's real. Yeah. So I'm going to close it there. For those of you that are catching the replay, amazing. Reach out to me. I do have the spaces for 5 people for an incentive that I am actually running, but I'm going to share that with you on the call. I'm not going to just share that here. Okay. I'm going to share with you on the call. So please reach out to me. I love you so much. I hope that you step away from this and actually feel activated. That is my intention. I hope that you ask yourself those important questions when you feel capped, when you feel blocked. My inbox is open, right? If you have questions. So please reach out. Know that you're not alone. You don't have to be. So I love you all so much. Go be fucking lit, bitches. And I'm excited to extend this to be something so fucking big. This is exciting. I love you, light leaders. Thank you for your time, your energy, and your love. And I'll see you in the fucking ether, baby.